Yo, it's Fendi Fliperachi. Follow me on Instagram at Fendi Flip. Today we're going to be talking about exposure. Exposure, exposure, exposure. You know, I see probably on a daily basis somebody shooting at the wrong exposure. And then you would probably say, well, Flip, what is the wrong exposure? If you cannot see what the hell is going on in your footage, then you shot at the wrong exposure. If your shit is looking blown out, like it's just white blobs everywhere or something, then you shot at the wrong exposure. Like, it amazes me. Like, this is why I'm doing this video first, because it really amazes me how much people mess this up. And by all means, it isn't easy. It is not easy. With a photo, you have more settings at your leisure. With video, you pretty much losing two settings. You can only push the ISO so far, and your shutter speed is locked. So, exposure is hard to deal with when it comes to video, especially when you're trying to finesse the camera around a given exposure. So, the first thing, the probably most important thing is you have to know your camera when talking about exposure. You need to know the exposure triangle. You need to know what gamma you're in, and I'll come back to gammas. The exposure triangle, shutter speed, ISO. I use shutter angle, so it kind of threw me off. Shutter angle, ISO, and your aperture. If you don't know how to control these three things to control your exposure, then you're failing yourself to begin with. Trying to shoot video in auto is probably one of the most rookie things you could do, because what's going to happen when you do a 180 with that camera and you shoot in the other direction, your exposure is going to change. And what's going to happen when your exposure changes, when you sit down to edit that footage, and a lot of you guys going to apply this LUT, what's going to happen is your whole piece of footage is pretty much ruined. With that small exposure change, when it runs through that LUT, the color's probably going to change. These are small details that ultimately show what level you're on. I could tell an amateur from a professional. I mean, we all should be able to, but it's a given. These are the small things that ultimately make the difference. When it comes to gammas, you got to know, are you shooting in log? Are you shooting Rec 709? Are you shooting raw? Knowing your color balance. What color balance should you be in? Do you dial in your Kelvin temperature by hand? Some cameras you can do that, some you don't. My camera, unfortunately, when I'm shooting in log, I can't dial in the Kelvin. I got pretty much three options. I can go to 32, 41, or 56. That's it. I shoot with the Sony FS5 most of the time if I'm not shooting with the red. Or I should say, otherwise I'm shooting with the red. Every once in a while I'll shoot with an Alexa if the production has it. But you know, even the smallest, when your camera's in auto and your shit changes color temperature in the middle of your shot, that's gonna completely ruin your footage. Okay, and then you're gonna slap your little LUT on it, and it's gonna look like shit. There's gonna be a whole piece of that footage you won't be able to use. Well, I can't say you won't be able to use it. A lot of you guys will use it, and I don't mean to down you guys, but this is the constructive criticism that you need to hear to get better. You know, one of the things that I hate to see is people not getting better. I've been doing video for 2013, going on 6 years. It'll be 6 years in October. And I came in the game at a point where it wasn't a lot of guys doing video like it is now. You know, DSLR cameras just became popular. So I got in and was able to start building my brand kind of at the last point before it got extremely difficult. But there was a lot of guys, I wouldn't say, there were 3 guys in my area that were doing video before me. And I surpassed every single one of them. Still to this day, 2 out of those 3 guys, their footage looks exactly the same as when I first started. So if you're not striving to get better, just go on and get out the way, because you know the young and up and coming cats who's coming into the game, they're gonna knock you out the way. You're not gonna last. So, you know, if you want to take yourself serious as a real director, these are things that you have to understand. You know, nobody's gonna take it easy on you in this business. Trust me. You know, even in the position I'm in, I go to work on other directors, I still get cussed out like it's day one. You know, nobody's gonna take it easy on you in this business. You know, this is, you know, you gotta love to do this in order to be in it for the long haul. You know, if you want to play around with it and see if you like it, that's cool. But Flip is here to tell you, you know, you gotta want it. You gotta want it. But exposure, you know, and I'm gonna get into it a little bit more in detail in other videos. You know, I just basically wanted to touch on some key things that I see a lot of people making mistakes on. You know, which is exposure, and within that you have the exposure triangle. People, you have to know it. There's no excuse for why you don't know it. You know, there's some guys that I used to work with, you know, whenever I used to get the camera, man, like the shit was on auto. Like, why are you shooting video on audio? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Like how are you in film school and you shooting video on auto? Like, why are you going to film school? Like, you might as well just drop out. I'll get into film school on another video too. That's that's a big thing. That's a big thing. You know, but real quick, like I took a guy from film school on a wedding with me, and he missed focus on every single shot. He graduated from 4 years of field school and he missed focus on every single shot. Every single shot. I was hot. He completely ruined. Luckily, I had a camera and I gave him one. But man, what do they teach y'all? I never went to film school. And I probably thought about it for about 5 seconds. I said, man, I could be the top of my class if I go to film school. Seriously. But yeah, I'm not going to keep this video running too long because I'm kind of getting off topic. But like I said, hit me up on Instagram at Fendi Flip. Leave a comment here if you have any questions. But till the next one.